You are now tuning in to the Val and Val Show, where conversation is art, 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 art. Conversation is art, conversation is art. You should chime in, ain't no telling where to start on the Val and Val Show. Ain't no telling the Val and Val Show. You know, ain't no telling where we go on the Val and Val Show. Ain't no ceiling, cause the art of conversation is the flow. It's that creativity available when we speak, available in our homes, available in the streets. We just trying to get it sparking and take it a little deeper. Keep it casual while fireside chatting with our people. Yeah, we take it a little deeper. It get hot when we fireside chatting with our people. Cause conversation is art, conversation is art. You should chime in, ain't no telling what'll spark on the Val, the Val and Val Show, the Val and Val Show.
Well, hello there. I hope y'all can hear me now. I hope y'all can hear me. Tanya, y'all let me know if y'all can hear me. Y'all can hear the video, so surely, hopefully, you all will be able to hear me as well. I'll know in a minute. But anyway, welcome to Conversation is Art, the Val and Val Show. Yeah, we good. Now, look, the devil is a liar. He is not going to interfere with this show tonight. And for those of y'all that may be new to us, I'm a believer, so y'all gonna hear something about some Jesus on here, okay? Y'all gonna hear some word and some scripture and all that good stuff. If that's not your genre, well, exit left, right, but we encourage you to stay. I guarantee your life will be blessed, okay? Your life will be blessed. So as I said, tonight we have a wonderful show, and that is why this technology was cutting up. Got my guest on. He couldn't hear me. I could hear him fine. Then when we went live, you all couldn't hear me. All kind of stuff. But that's what spiritual warfare is, and that's why I know this show is going to be a blessing to someone tonight. But before we get started, got a few announcements I want to throw out there. As you know, this was my former co-host when we started Conversations Art in 2020, Valton Johnson. He is now doing all cinematic creation things. He is doing filming. I mean, God has really opened up the doors, but he's also given opportunities for others, not just young people, but other talents as well. But he is going to have a youth film fest next summer, date to be decided, but need your help, need your donations. You can donate at youthfilmfest.org. We talk about all the crime, all the things that the children are doing. This is an opportunity for them to utilize that energy in a positive manner. If nothing else, we know they can do TikTok lives and all that stuff. So they real adept at doing all of that on Instagram. So this is an opportunity for them to take that skill and earn a living. And then one of our good friends who usually comes on and sings for us, Sharon Ray North, she has released a new Christmas song. It is called Everything I Asked For. It is a beautiful song, so please download that on all the platforms. And also our other songstress that we come on, who happens to be my sorority sister as well, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Costella. She has Nice Over Egypt, and it is streaming #1 on a lot of platforms. So please download and support. Also, you all, we want to promote if anybody needs a job and you're into caregiving, caring for those that are sick and elderly, and you have a good, kind, compassionate heart. You don't steal. We cannot have anybody stealing, and you're not abusive. Please, you can apply for a job at godsittingpartners.com, and they will be glad to have you on. And last but not least, definitely want to talk about these two young ladies. They are pharmacists, and they own their own pharmacy company here in Birmingham, Med Plus Consultant LLC. But y'all, it's more than pharmacy, okay? They are really doing great education. My husband and I have transferred our meds to them, and they are now our official pharmacists. So they are downtown on Richard Arrington Boulevard. For some, you may feel like that's an inconvenience, but if we don't support our own, they cannot grow and expand and have other locations. So for us to get things going in our communities, sometimes we're going to have to be inconvenienced, okay? It's time for us to start helping us to build up us. So please give them a chance. Meds Plus Consulting. You will love Dr. Jennifer and Dr. Pauline. They are simply wonderful. So again, welcome to Conversations is Art. We are glad you are here, and thank you for joining us tonight. So I'm just going to get down to it. Y'all listen. I had his wife on a couple weeks ago, and he was so busy in the chat that I mean, it was just phenomenal. Everything that he was sharing in the comments. And finally I said, I gotta have him on because last week, well, actually, before Thanksgiving was supposed to be my last show for the year. We'll talk about that more at the end. Um, but I had to have him on as well. Tanya Good and his wife did such a great job. But like I said, he was blowing up that chat. So I had to go on and get the man of the house to come on in because he had a lot to say and it was very insightful and impactful. So without further ado, come on up in this room, Mr. Good. How you doing?
Hello there. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. And look, you all, if y'all paid attention to that flyer, it said the mind body regulator. Now, I'm gonna get to learn about what all that means with you all tonight. Normally, I go do all this research. I say, you know what? I'm gonna get educated with you all tonight. Now, y'all, his resume, or should I say, his curriculum vitae. That's what I'm gonna call it. It is exhaustive, but it was something. Is it Hartworth
Heart
certification?
math. Yes,
Heart.
heart math.
We're gonna drill down on that because I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Look, you all, he has so many accolades, and sometimes I read a lot of stuff to you all, but more often I don't. I give you the opportunity to share with people all of your accolades. But I'm gonna tell y'all this: he's highly qualified. Okay, he's packed, loaded like a cannon. He got some credentials, hey, out this world. And then I saw he was a clinical massage therapist too. So hey, get your mind and body regulated. He got you covered. One stop shop right here. Okay. So how you doing tonight?
I am great, and I thank you so much for inviting me here. I didn't mean to blow it up too much the last time, but
No, we needed
I'll just
that.
try to support your show because you have a great show.
Well,
You've
thank
had a
you.
couple of guests that I've actually had a chance to meet them. The one with the Brothers Let's Talk. I went to three of their
Yes.
events, and Jarrell, I just met him a month or two ago. Been
Okay.
out to his area as well. So no, I applaud the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you.
It's
Thank you.
very
And
important.
you know what? I enjoy it. I always tell people this part of my therapy, in addition to real therapy. Okay, you all. But just coming on here talking to people, uh, just really this form of doing life together and giving encouragement, you all. That is so important. And we in this world of isolation that we have come to whatever reason think that's great. It is not. We do not need to be alone and isolated. Yeah, do you have your quiet times and still away? Yes, but we were made to be in community, and that's what helps us keep some of our sanity, you all, because it's enough out here to drive us over the edge if we're
Mm,
not careful. If we're
absolutely.
not careful. So listen, tell y'all now, he fire baptized, Holy Ghost filled, and all that good stuff too. Okay, so now look, you're gonna hear some Jesus up in here.
Ah, yes, yes, because I am going to mention him because definitely he's very instrumental, in what I do. His
Yeah,
spirit, yes.
y'all, and Jesus and therapy go together. So look, you got this fan, you got Henry Cash, Lamar Story, and of course Tanya here to support her man, her husband, Herbert. Look, I felt like I knew you for years before I met you. I'm gonna throw that in there, y'all. No, it ain't been perfect, but they have a strong marriage. Okay. I'm gonna put them out there. If y'all struggling, Tanya and Herbert Gooden can help y'all out. They're gonna be real too. They're gonna tell you the good, bad, and the downright ugly. Okay.
Amen.
But
Yes.
they have a strong marriage. And I just think, I thank God for that, that there are so many things that you and Tanya offer. With me working with her for several years and our conversations about things, just how God has orchestrated you all to where you are now, which is definitely more needful. Look, y'all, I ain't calling them, I don't call our elders old. He's mature and full of wisdom. Okay. And that is what the Bible says. We have the elders for the wisdom and the youth for strength. But you need to listen, not only listen, but apply what you hear. So come on and tell me about this certified self-regulation practitioner and the etc. stuff that you have behind your name. You can tell me about
Ah, well, at the beginning really started many years ago, and I was a chaplain uh, over 20 years ago,
that.
and
Okay.
what I would notice is that some of the congregants would like to want to hold hands, or they'll like me to put my hands on their shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I had experienced a professional massage at all, and so
Wow.
and so it just so happened I was out of town on a trip. When I got back, one of my co-chaplains said that UAB was going to have an introductory course to massage therapy, and that was my beginning. And after that, I attended the Red Mountain Institute of the Healing Arts, finished that in 2004, was licensed, and
Mm-hmm.
worked at Spa Japonica. Then, of course, Ross Bridge was my launching pad as a full-time therapist, which I was a
Okay.
full-time therapist there for 12 years. I still pull call for them, but now I
Wow.
practice at Children's Hospital, so I've been there for over 12 years now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And each
Look
one,
at Tanya got her full-time massage therapist at the house for free.
they don't text too much, but they know I will work on them.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
know what? I've been getting massages forever. People just don't realize it's amazing how calming and relaxing that they can be for you.
Yeah.
It makes a difference. I mean, just kind of just I always say it's kind of like a cleansing feeling that you get once you have a massage. And you can find those that are affordable. You ain't gotta, spend like you
Yes.
go on a cruise, you'll pay $300 for one
Correct. Correct.
on a cruise
So,
ship.
yes, I'm so glad you mentioned that because a massage does. I use an acronym that's DOSE, DOSE. You like to get a shot,
Hmm.
a dose of medicine, and
Hmm.
that's going to stand for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins as well. And so, all the things that you just mentioned, that's exactly what takes place in the body when you get a massage. And so, I call it, your natural high, your natural healing. And
With everything. And it's
yes,
amazing that God has given us our healing within
yes,
through the herbs. And I think about, especially in our community, in the African American community, I remember growing up that if somebody got sick, my grandmother would be like, go down there in the woods and find this such and such berry or tree. You know what I'm saying? And she
yes.
will hook up her concoction, which we know now was holistic medicine. It was
That's correct.
holistic medicine,
Apple
and it
cider,
worked.
all those type of things.
Yeah, and
They
it worked, and
in
it
their yards, right? And so
yeah.
that's the reason why touch is so important. And that's what happened. As I say, I was in the chaplaincy, and then I also, one of the passages that is my foundation is Mark 140 and 141. When the leper approached Jesus, it's about being cleansed. And at
Mm-hmm.
141, it says that Jesus reached out and touched him with compassion. First, he was filled with compassion. Then he reached out and touched him, and then say that would be healed. And what a lot of this is information that I acquired, so and I can understand where this wouldn't be a topic for everyone. But with Jesus' individuals healings, which was 22 individual, where he was one-on-one, out of
Mm-hmm.
22, 14 included touch. That's
Mm.
4% of his one-on-one interactions with people that he was healing. Touch was involved, which means let you know that touch is very important to the human soul, the spirit, and of course the body.
Y'all hear that, don't you? For your people, you people don't like, and we talking about let's clear appropriate touch,
Okay.
appropriate
Safe,
touch.
safe, trust and tough. And yes, and we'll talk a little bit about right because all the information is going to be trauma informed that we
Yeah.
discussed this evening. So we are going to be mindful of touch that's not safe. where
Yeah.
they have been traumatized, had some events to take place in their lives where touch is inappropriate at this
Appropriate.
particular time for them. So,
And you mentioned trauma informed. I actually took a course on trauma informed care, and because our church we work with Mark's Village, aka they call it Gate City, and
mhm,
that's one of the things to volunteer with them. You have to go through the trauma informed training because it's so important that when you're dealing with vulnerable people,
yes,
you can't come with your ideology and what your beliefs are and
correct.
try to minister to them based on that. You got to be where they are, and their lives are very different and their worldview is very different. So it's great that we're getting to this point, and especially in the African American community. Stay at what happens in the house stays in the house, and of course you got to be strong and a
Yes,
black male. I'm just so thankful
you're
to
right.
see you as a black male, because good loud, so it's viewed as weak if
Yes,
are vulnerable and having a
yes.
conversation. So now, so I got to ask you this: what made you embrace this even beside 20 something years ago, realizing you needed this? Because that was different. I'm quite sure you had many men in your age probably thought, are you crazy? What you doing?
Yes, absolutely. Basically, I was in management, and basically, I walked away from a career which I had been involved in for 25 years. And
Wow.
my peers thought I had lost my mind, actually. They would come by my office doing their hands like this and shaking their heads. But I never looked back because it's about compassion. I truly care for my fellow man. And what way better to be able to minister, to be in the presence, the company, to embody, embrace the fact that we all have a purpose. And so
Yeah.
basically, I felt the purpose in it, and that was actually moving me toward continuing school and finishing it. And actually, Val is more than I imagined by far. That's the reason why I hadn't looked back at all. Uh, I can say that it's changed my life.
Tremendous. Well, you know what? You just said something. I led our prayer group this morning, and the title of it was that when God calls you to move, God's will, we need to pray God's will. And for me, I realized, have I really been? I mean, we say that, but do we mean that? Because for you to walk away from a career that was comfortable, I'm sure it paid you a good little sum
Yes,
of change of money. You had to feel that pull from God as well as be obedient. Because oftentimes, just because we feel the pull, we don't follow through because in our mind, we start coming up with all these scenarios of why we can't leave something. So, was that hard for you to do? Or
well,
was it a
well,
process, or how did you go
well,
about it?
it's a process because what had was starting to happen was my integrity was starting to be challenged in my position,
Okay.
of authority, and certain things I started not to agree with. And then also,
Gotcha.
if you notice, which I always share, I'm in long time recovery as well.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
it started to have an effect on that also. And so I
Gotcha.
talked with Tanya. Matter of fact, she's gonna laugh on the other side, but actually, when I made the decision, it was when I was out of town, and it was about opportunity came up out of town for another position at another facility, and my wife could tell something just wasn't quite right. And
Mm.
I told her, the situation. And when I told her I was thinking about getting a massage therapy school, I thought I was just blown away when she said do it, because she could see what was happening to me, that it was affecting me. And so
Did
I had
did
her.
y'all catch that? Did y'all catch that? Because they were one, Tanya picked up on something was going on with her husband. And she was willing for their life to be changed by him doing something totally different to protect him. And I say that, y'all, because so often we can become selfish and be like, "No, you got to keep making this money," and we look at the whole thing, and we will sacrifice the person for all of this stuff that at the end of the day, it's not gonna matter at all. So, y'all
Yeah,
young folks on here, y'all catch these pearls, okay,
and that's the reason
and
why
hold on to them.
segue into we'll talk about gratitude as well,
Uh
because
huh.
when you was mentioning all the different things that was happening within your body and how you felt so much better, whenever you got a
Yeah.
massage. Well, the same thing happens with gratitude as well. Same hormones that are taking place or being released in your body when you get a massage. When we have gratitude for others, the same hormones
Yeah.
are released. The same ones I mentioned earlier are released. And so we get to a place where it's more about giving than receiving. It's just so rewarding to see the effect on your fellow human being when they move from one space to another space.
Well,
Because
let me ask you this, because you brought this up. So, and what you're saying is true. Why does it seem it's so hard for us humans to live in that? It seems that we thrive off the chaos,
yes,
the division, and we know that's the enemy in the way the world wired. So how do we move from that? Because it seems, I know the earth been in turmoil due to the fall of man, but it seems the past few years, if I've ever seen the principalities and the darkness seem like it's I don't want to say it's on overdrive, literally.
yes. Well, it's because of distractions. You know, the,
Okay.
the game plan is to take us away from our center. In the book of John, it
Okay.
says that every man, in the first chapter of John, says, every man that come into this world, there's a light that exists in him.
Yeah.
So everything outside is designed to draw you from that light that dwells within us. And so everything that's taking place in the different disturbances, think about it. They're going on the outside. And that's one of the reasons why I got so involved with mindfulness, because what you're talking about affects all of us to some degree. And
Yeah.
if we're not aware of it, it takes us, it continually takes us away from that center. Because in that center is where our gift is. That center is what's been placed in us, where we can move into our calling, move and develop into our being. But as long as we are drawn on the outside and directed through our mind from the outside, then we'll continue down a path away from our true self.
With everything.
Yeah,
Okay, so you made the decision to step away from a high stressful job that was taking you back down a dark path that you definitely did not want to
yes.
uh turn to. So from the clinical massage, so what led you into, look, you all, I gotta look at all these look, certified stress, anxiety, self-regulation practitioner, mindfulness mediation teacher, and neuroscience coach specializing in spirituality. And he has a certification as a recovery support specialist through the Alabama Department of Mental Health. Men, calling all men. Mr. Herbert Good, you need to you need to get to know him. And
Well,
brother,
well,
and brother, let's talk. I mean, I say that because even I see it in my family, in my husband, just this guardedness, because
yeah.
it's viewed as a weakness. I was listening to her dad was sharing action on LinkedIn. His son asked about the MAGA hat. And he did a great job as 6-year-old explained it to him. But he said when he got home, he went into his study. He was a physician too, and just cried. And my reply to him, I said, "Great job, Dad, of really explained it to your 6-year-old son. I said, but oh, how I wish you had let him see your tears fall so that
Yes,
he would know it was okay.
yes,
He and I know why he did it in private, because I got to be strong when we don't realize, when we don't show those vulnerabilities, we are reinforcing.
yeah,
You got to be strong. A big. Well, in this case, little boys don't cry. We say
yeah.
not just big boys don't cry. So
Well,
what took you from the massage to actually becoming
well,
certain?
and I totally understand men being guarded. I was guarded for years. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I made a lot of decisions based on how I showed up at a very young age. You know,
Yeah.
my peers, the people I gravitated to, it was all in trying to protect a self-image I'm trying to build, so I won't be seen as
Yeah.
soft. Before I hit high school, I was in plays. I did continue to be in the band in high school, but I moved away from some things that could be looked at as soft.
Yeah.
So who knows? I could have been another Denzel, maybe, if I continued my
Yeah.
walk down. But it's because I was trying to protect myself. I thought that's what I need. So I totally understand. Your question was, how did I get here? I was broken.
Yeah.
I was broken. I was
Mm.
broken. I put up that mask for as long as I could. But when I finally was broken, that's when a breakthrough came through for me. When I finally was told by one of my counselors at the time that you've basically been living a false sense of self. That's not your true self. It's all a
Gotcha.
mask that you have. And, one of my counselors, I had to go back to the high school to get a transcript once, which they normally shouldn't let you, they don't supposed to let you see it. But I had a counselor actually put on my transcript that I was arrogant. And I actually said this to the principal. I said, what does that mean? So I didn't even understand what that meant, but that's how I was carrying myself. But it's because when some people are in shame, they fold in, but the
Yeah.
other ones, like myself, I was all out. And so I was broken. That stopped working for me and took me down a road of darkness and took me to a lot of places that wasn't healthy. But today, here I am.
And
Here,
look, that was your wilderness and valley trajectory, so you could be here on December 5th, 2024, sharing with the people and also doing the work that you are doing. I'm gonna bring somebody into this conversation. I want all y'all take a deep breath and exhale, okay, when I bring this person up. And I often bring him up because he is the classic, to me, really public example. And I'm gonna bring another one up too, that you can tell they got some inner stuff going on, but it's projected as arrogance or confidence or self-assured or whatever. And y'all, that is the president-elect Donald Trump. And I'm gonna go on and throw one of our African American brothers in there, Deion Sanders, Coach. What is it, Coach Prime? And you look at them and think a lot of times, oh, they're confident, they're strong. But if you really pay attention to the what's not said, I guess I would say, you can really see that it's a fight thing. And generally always goes back to childhood most of the time. Most of the time. Because I had that. My mom, her relationship with her mother wasn't so good. And it's simply because my mom was dark skinned. My grandmother was very, very high yellow. Okay. And my mother was the darkest skinned daughter she had. And we know colorism was
yeah.
greatly something back then and is now. So my mama grew up in a protected fight mode. She taught her daughters that. So it was
Hmm.
realizing it and unlearning that. Number one is stressful. You're gonna have high blood pressure, strokes, and heart
Correct.
attacks and all that stuff. But realizing, no, this is not good for me.
Yes, and
And
see,
I
you
and
have to get to a point though where you realize that. But on the other side of that, you have to make a decision
yeah,
because it's all about choices. So you're gonna have to make a choice whether I want to continue to live a false sense of self, give you false ideas, false ideas cause you to act out false actions. And then those
Yeah.
actions is going to give you suffering, but all because of moving away from that light that's within.
Within. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this. So how long have you been addiction free?
Since
With
2003.
three. So
And
21 years.
prior to that, I had some moments of a couple years here, 5 years here, but finally caught traction. It was a process which it greatly, the process of me falling and picking myself up has really put me in a position to help others. You know,
Okay.
I have true empathy for those who are struggling, and for those who are out there today who are struggling. Just keep picking up your tools. Start the
Keep
next day
going.
again, the next 24 hours again. It gets better. But 2000 since 2003, totally free.
So let me ask you this. So in this world, this technology world, social media and all the filters, and we got it together, and everybody probably covered it as someone that's more broken than them, more than likely, by what they're seeing. So what advice do you give to people to protect themselves from that
It's,
life?
it's so difficult now because of the exposure. It is so many tools out there, as I said before, to draw you away from your life, to paint a better picture for you.
Mm-hmm.
And in some cases, people have to hit what they say rock bottom, but everyone's doesn't. Some people have a smooth landing and still get a chance to take choices, right? I
Yeah.
think one of the most important things is everyone needs a role model.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Another thing that's very important to me and my family, you have to have a spiritual life. Because if you don't have some type of spiritual life and some type of lighthouse, some guidance, something that draws you to look at things differently than
Yeah.
how the world is doing things, then it's going to be very difficult. But sometimes it's not until that crash happens that you're broken, that you start to take a back what's been going on and then decide to say, I will reevaluate this right now. So awareness, mindfulness is one of the things that I work with clients. I basically just about, if client doesn't want to work with mindfulness, it's going to be difficult because first thing you need to see is what's happening inside your mind.
Mm.
And because if you can't see what's going on in your mind, a person with no direction take any direction. I mean, it's the oldest thing that I was taught as a child.
Wait a minute. Don't run by that. Say that again.
A person with no direction would take any direction.
Y'all hear that? Will take any direction. Okay. Okay. I like that. I haven't heard that one before.
Well, my parents taught me that very when I was very young because they always saying don't follow the crowd. And that's
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
you asked me a question. That's one of the things, right? Following the crowd because one of the old, remember the song "Old Girl"?
Yeah.
Following the crowd, but the crowd can't help me now. Well, when I was down and out, the crowd couldn't help me, and so that's what it is. Following the crowd, you have to be careful about the crowds and people and the people you associate with. We're social
Yeah.
beings. We need to be around people because that's how we thrive. But we have to really be particular because this is your life. This is your
Yeah.
only life, and it's precious.
It is. And Chloe made a comment when she said you didn't cross you crossed over to massaging in your calling after you ceased addiction. Once you got your deliverance from that, God placed you, you know,
Correct.
to
But
walk in your full calling.
correct. But you know what? She's so right. But we all have, this is what I think sometimes is missed, that even within you got to remember, I came up in a household of believers, and my father was a
Mm-hmm.
pastor as well. And so uh, the Bible and in our family, spiritual life and prayer life was there, right? But yet
Yeah.
and still, I still wandered off. But this is what I want everyone to understand. You still have a spiritual thread that's there.
Yeah.
It's there. Although you might not be operating in it right now fully, you're
Yeah.
still being tracked, and it's there to be ignited at any time that you put some work back into it and start nurturing it again. And so that's what I want to understand. Yes, my addiction took me down some dark places, but that was spiritualness. That light was still within me. It just needed to be nourished, and I had to realize that it offered more than what's out there.
And I think for most of us, Herbert, is that this is what we need to realize. God pours into us what we need. He knows what we're going to, the gifts and talents he's going to put in us before we even form. Satan comes to take us off track. And we go down that dark path of using those gifts and talents usually for his work. And I often think about Paul. When Paul, got changed on the road to Damascus, he was just as hard going at teaching Christ and planting them churches as he
Yes,
was at
that's
persecuting
right. Turn
the
skill
church.
proud.
Yeah, and I always tell people that for the most part, children will manifest what God has put them in the earth realm if we would pay attention. But so often, because of the world, well, no, you can't do that. God forbid they say they want to be a teacher.
That's
Oh
correct.
God, you can't be a teacher because you're not gonna make enough money. But something I always share with my kids, I said, if you follow where God is leading you, He will make sure you're taken care of. And
Yes.
I think that's the biggest thing. And it's interesting how we dismiss teachers, but the majority of us would not be where we are without those teachers
Oh,
that are now not
oh,
appreciated.
absolutely. I mean, I remember a lot of my teachers as far as back to elementary school. Some of the most meanest ones that I thought I'd see, some of the, greatest lessons, and
Hmm.
and they was able to still share spiritually with us too, in school when we were growing
Yeah.
up. Different, I'd say, disciplines from Lord's Prayer to memorizing. Certain scriptures, all types of things that was beneficial. You see, I still think about them, right? So that means they had some beneficial purpose to our
Yeah.
spiritual man, which is so important. And so you mentioned Paul. He made a statement that physical exercise has its value, but
Yeah.
spiritual exercise is good for all things. It's a lot of things that we can do, and they do have their value, right? But what it's saying is that from a spiritual aspect, it's going to enhance anything that you do,
Yeah.
anything that you touch, right?
Yeah. The physical can only take you so far, but the
Exactly.
spiritual will take you through everything. Even when the physical fail, even when the mental fail, if you have the spiritual anchor,
Correct.
you
Yes.
can you can get through it. You can get through it. So with your mindfulness, and Lord knows y'all, mindfulness takes practice.
It does. It does.
Woo, Lord Jesus.
And I'm
It
still
takes practice
practicing. I'm still practicing.
in the rapid world, because it's almost like I was sharing with someone, it's almost we have a guilt about rest. We have
Yes.
a guilt about just taking time away. Like for me, if I go on vacation or something, my phone automatically goes to do not disturb. And if I got few people tagged that can override that. And then people will say, well, what if I need you for something? I was like, well, act like back in the day when you couldn't get access to me that fast and do what you would have done then. But we have a guilt from not being available to everybody. We're on it ain't a hamster wheel anymore. It's moving faster than that now, it seems. Our children, they don't get a mental break or mental rest because they're on all these games, they're on these tablets. So what would you offer, since you work at children's, for parents? Because ADHD, autism, and all that stuff seems to be like, woo, off
Mhm.
the. chart
Well,
now.
well, I mean, it's it's enough information out there as well. It shows about its design plan. This just didn't has happen, right?
Okay.
And so we are social beings, right? We're social beings.
Mm-hmm.
We won't thrive alone. And if I think I'm missing something, I'm also thinking I'm not a part of something.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that not being a part, it goes deep. I mean, it goes deep in our human design. Uh, you have to remember hundreds of thousands of years. I mean, the human beings been on Earth for quite a long time, right? And
Mm-hmm.
our brain developed. You might be familiar with the triune brain. You got your instinctual brain, you got your emotional brain, then you got your prefrontal cortex. We call it the CEO, that takes
Yeah.
everything that's going on in the mind, in the emotional, the instinctives, right? Well, what happens with all these gadgets and the flipping from one scene to another. Well,
Mm-hmm.
we basically, when we were in tribal times, we were gatherers. So any
Yeah.
type of new plant, any type of new shelter, it will get our attention. That's at a deep level before we became emotional, before we became even conscious, right? I mean, more conscious, developed.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening? That's being played against us now, because what happens is high stress is equivalent to violence. That's how our system
Yeah.
perceives it, as violence, right? And so since it perceives it as violence, that means that the CF, the CEO, the prefrontal cortex goes offline, the emotional brain goes offline. Now I'm out of
Mm-hmm.
raw instincts, and that's the reason why when we look at some of the violence, it's because all those other parts of our brains have gone offline, and now just our
Wow.
distinction mind is operating, and it's not making rational decisions. And so when we're talking about stress and calming, our society as a whole has been raised up, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I tell everyone it's all hands on deck. Yes, it's professionals out there. It's a lot of things we do as professionals, but we need to get the information to your next door neighbor, the person you work with. Everyone needs to start talking and communicating more with each other, because it's all hands on deck. It's so many hurting and suffering people out there that they just need a kind word in order to just have some compassion.
Now wait a minute, now Herbert. How you gonna get folks to talk to each other? People wear a badge of courage when you say, "Do you even know your next door neighbor?" I don't know them, and I don't want them to know me. I'm just like, wow. And
Yeah.
and in both of my neighborhoods I lived in, that's the thing I pray. I said, Lord, I want to know my neighbors. I want to live among people that care about me. I care about them, and He answered that prayer. I was joking on. It was on one of those conversations about isolation, or either what it was about. If somebody come to my house unannounced, I'm not letting them in. And when I grew up, when people dropped by your house, as we called it in the country, you were happy to see them. The
Hmm.
folks, they was first thing you know, it was like, hey, you had something to eat. If it wasn't nothing but a glass of tea, they wanted you there. Now we see even people, even if we know them intimately,
Hmm.
people don't even want their family members stopping by their house unannounced. It's
Well,
just
it goes back. It goes back to the question when you was talking about ADHD, and we're talking about attention, right?
yeah,
Okay, it's across the board. It's so many things have our attention where we still don't have time for each other. We're still being drawn outside of ourselves. We're thinking we're missing something. And so when I see,
yeah,
kids with these, when I when they this is what happens. It'll be easy to explain, I guess. Sometimes counselors, cognitive. Uh, when we have counselors, it's so important the work they do. But if our system is so stressed out, it's difficult for some of the information to get through.
Yeah.
Okay, so that same thing was happening with the kids with ADHD. Uh, the information can't get through because all this activity, this noise is happening. And sometimes they would send kids to me just to let them get a place of calmness, because this is what happens, and we take this for granted. Some, it's a lot of us that do not even know what it feels like to relax. I mean, we just don't
Yeah.
know. We've had anxiety all our lives.
Mm.
I had a 76-year-old lady once. I asked her, I say, it's been a long time since you felt this relaxed. She said, I never felt like this in my life.
Wow.
So can't take for granted. So when we talk about kids and I see them and they're diagnosed with different things, we don't know the environment they've come from. We don't know. Now we're talking about the food. It's so many inputs now happening,
Yeah.
right? It's a lot of people definitely at another level who are addressing this. They're trying to figure it out because it's coming from so many different directions now. But one person at a time, your neighbor, going back to what you were saying, if we're not having time for each other, friends can't come by, or we can't socialize to get this bonding, the oxytocin. See, we need to come together so these natural bonding hormones will have the effect they should. But we're not coming together.
And I'm gonna tell you one of my pet peeves. If we're going out or we're together, and people on their phone, I'm like, I just could stay at home. That's really how I feel about it at that point. But
Yes,
you in the restaurant, you can't even laugh and talk and interact, with each other. Why we here? Why
yes.
are we
But
here?
Tanya and I, we have a rule, and sometimes she'll slip by, and I say, "Well, turn it down." If the phone's making it to the restaurant or whatever place we are,
Yeah.
and you're so right. You look around, but guess what I tell her though?
What you tell her?
You might well perk your ears up. I say the best thing that you could find is right here with you. Why are you looking on the phone?
But that's the only way to build relationship. That's the only way to get to know people is to be present. I
Yeah,
know for me, even when I'm doing something, even with my children, I try, even they on the phone, I'm like, okay, be present. And because we live in such a go at it world, the world is, oh, you gotta be going, you gotta be grinding. We believe in the grind. We gotta
mhm,
be go getters. And as you said, we are so exhausted. But your daughter put something here. Chloe said, this is true. You need to take a rest from even something that you may enjoy
correct.
and just take a step back and exhale. Like for me, one thing I try to do now, and I got a frat brother that's a psychiatrist, which has helped me. I told him, I can get some sidewalk psychiatric advice when I need it from him
Mhm.
without a copay. And he was like, Valerie, start practicing this. He said 30 minutes to an hour, turn off all stimulus. And this is the TV, y'all, too.
Yeah.
Okay. He said, if you're gonna listen to something prior to going to bed, it need to be something that's really relaxing, mindfulness type music or
Hmm.
some slow praise and worship,
Right.
something that is positive that's gonna help
Right.
your sleep. Um, and I started doing that. He said, people don't realize if the last thing you do is look at your phone, those lights have you stimulated
That's correct.
still, even
Correct.
though you may be sleep. He said, but most folks never get into deep REM restful
Yes.
sleep.
That's
And
right.
say that's why when people wake up, they say, I wake up tired. He said,
Right.
because you haven't really rest. And
Yes.
me, I love to read. I keep my books. I've learned, even with TV. Let's talk about that because you got 200 streaming things now. What I try to do now, even the shows that I like, going back to what Chloe says, I watch them over time versus sitting there watching eight binge, what they call it, binge
Binge
TV.
watching. Yes, binge
Yeah,
watch.
I intentionally now say, okay, Val, you're gonna watch one of these series or two, and that's it. But that's like practicing mindfulness too, to just detach from
Yes.
all of that stuff, because you will look up in 10 hours. And then my other motivator is this: girl, you can go in there, read your word and study and do something else that's
Mhm.
gonna really benefit your life. Because people
Well,
will
that's
say,
true.
I don't have time to study the word, but we
Yeah,
can watch
but see,
Netflix for 12 hours.
but see, you're knowledgeable about that, and there's just so
Yeah.
many out there who just don't know what you're saying right now, how it's affecting them. Especially when you mentioned about TV, because all of us, I mean, we even get into the binge watching and sleep. That's one thing I like to report from what I'm seeing a lot of.
Uh-huh.
Everyone's saying they're not getting enough sleep. Yeah, well, I'm agreeing with what you just said.
Yeah.
It's a increase of insomnia now. Uh, People are, tired when they wake up because they're not, as you say, they're not getting into REM sleep where rest and the body's being restored. That's not taking place. They're
Mm-hmm.
what they're doing, they're getting sleep, but they're not getting rest. And rest is what? For restore. So if the system's not being restored, that's the reason why you're waking up tired. Now, when you get a massage, a lot of times people fall asleep, and they are getting rest at that time, and they wonder why am I able to fall asleep? Because they're in a place of safety.
Yeah.
All the outside stimuli is away other than something calming, right? And they go into deep sleep. That's not taking place in the house because of so many distractions that's happening with them.
It's funny you said massage. I had a gift certificate to Ross Bridge, which I went to a couple weeks ago. So I get there early, so I go in the hot tub. But I'm sitting there laughing because I am literally the only person in there that don't have my cell phone, because mine is locked in the locker. Because I didn't come,
Be on the
I did
phone in
not
the
come
outside
to
world.
be
Right.
to be on the phone. But I just kind of laughed, and one lady literally almost walked into me because she was reading her phone, and in my mind I was like, "What? Why are you here? This supposed to be a spa. This supposed to be a
Right.
place of rest, but
Yes.
we
But they
just
can't but
can't
they,
we
but
just can't
they can't
disconnect."
cut it off though. I always laugh with the ladies, I tell them to take off the jewelry. And I said, divest yourself of everything that has you connected to the outside world for this moment.
Y'all hear that? So when y'all go get a massage the next time, lock your phone up and
Yes.
try to relax. Now I would tell you this: if you've never had a massage, it took me a couple times to just be able to just let go and
Mhm.
exhale, and just relax. Not so much from the massage, but as you said, your mind is still telling you, you really don't need to be doing this for an hour. You could be doing something else. It's amazing how when we try to get to a place of healing and rest, the enemy comes in and tells us we ought to be doing.
Well, we have to realize the mind, what the mind is. The mind is a meaning making machine.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna
that's
put
what
this
it does.
question up here for you to look at.
I can't see it for the
Okay, what are some ways that people can get the most out of their massage?
uh one thing for sure is, well, we always tell them, for instance, as soon as they make when you make an appointment for massage, the process starts at that time. Okay.
Mm,
All right. They have to feel safe. That's one thing people just take for granted. What's going, massage starts actually before we actually even touch them, right?
mm-hmm.
Because you just mentioned that when you come to the spa, you're in the quiet room, right? The
Yeah.
process is starting at that time. So it is definitely good to arrive earlier, usually 15, 20 minutes, we even say 30 minutes earlier, so you can start settling your system down.
Okay.
That would be the first thing, right? Another thing is that when they're coming into massages, what are their expectations?
Mm,
Is this their first massage? have they did any research on it? A lot of times it's word of mouth. We tell each other about massages. They come expecting a certain experience, right? So, for instance, when they come in there, we ask them we're hoping they are really present. To get the most out of it is to relax, realize you have a professional that's working on you. You're in a safe environment. You're in full control of this room. At this time, this is your space. I always tell the clients when they come in, I say, this is your space. They'll say, can I lay this down here? Can I lay it down? I say, you can lay it anywhere you want to lay it. This is your room. This is your space. So to get the most out of it, I would say is to just go ahead and relax and realize you have a professional that is working on you. And also realize that anything needs to be adjusted. The amount of pressure, the heat in the room, all they have to do is speak up, because we want them to be, they have to feel like they are still in control, and which they are. We're not just servicing them. We're there to meet their needs. Yeah, we're there just to service them.
So basically, he just told you when you go to your massage, if it's too heavy and painful, say something. If it's not, you think enough pressure, say something. If the room too cold, say something. If it's too hot, if you need to adjust on the table or whatever, and they will ask you, what are your points? I know for most of us, probably all of us, I know for me, when I'm really, really tense, in this area, my shoulders and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of do, when I get there early, I'm kind of like doing some, even before I get there, I'm hydrated. I drink a lot of water anyway, fluids, but I've kind of, on my ride there, I'm not listening to news and all that foolery. You don't need that in your mind when you're going for your massage. Sometimes I just go ride in peace and quiet and just look at the beauty of nature. Yeah. Or if I am listening to something, it's some soft type music. You don't want to go get a massage and you just got through watching the news or watching some horror movie or
and also stressful. Now, not too much hydration also, because that does happen sometimes with relaxation. You can't relax because you have a need.
You got too much water.
Too much water. So you have to monitor that to not to drink too much before you get up, or try to leave yourself before you come into the session.
Well, I always tell people that void before you go and get on the table, because even the massage would start making you relax.
Yes.
And you don't have to jump up in the middle of your massage and go to the bathroom. That's gonna kill the mood.
Yeah, it's gonna break the vibe. It's gonna break the vibe. Yes.
It's going. So look, let me ask you this. So, what are some things that people can do to get their minds and body better regulated?
Well, the first thing is, as I said before, they need to be aware. Mindfulness is, they need to take that pause, because once they take that pause, their system just see things differently. Being aware, non-judgmental, that's the key. Being aware. I'm aware that there's on the other side. I'm not making any judgment. I'm just here just to receive, just to enjoy. And I'm here in the moment. I'm not thinking about the past. I'm not thinking about the future. My full attention is here. That is one of the gifts of becoming a massage therapist with an intention and attention. The client needs to know, and this is what a client can tell the difference, is if my full attention, is it there in that moment? And they could sense that the system going to be, your social engagement system is going to be able to distinguish whether I'm truly there or my mind is some other place as well. So that's what's so important, that the therapists that they have, and sometimes a person might have to go through, some different therapists they find to be someone they're comfortable with. And usually when they get comfortable with somebody, it's going to be someone that makes them feel like they are the number one person for the day that's on their mind. And I always tell my clients they are the most important person in my life at this time, at this moment, because exactly. This if I have to go out right now, and if I had to leave this earth at this moment, I thank God I was serving at this moment. And that's the kind of attention I give my clients.
Y'all heard that? He's doing it as a servant, and that's the attention. So look, this has been so good. Now, you all, let me tell you something. In this technological world, we got access to everything. I always tell people, you look up everything else. Go out there and look up mindfulness, and different things that they have out there. Spend some time on self-care, becoming self-aware. I'm gonna say this for you. I'm gonna deliver some of you all right now. Your mom and dad didn't get it always right, or whoever raised you. Some of the things you need to be released from are those things, and it's okay. You may need to go back and have a conversation. If they, hey, therapy, it's okay.
Yes.
I always tell people, even though it wasn't documented that Luke treated anybody, be assured that Luke treated people that when he traveled with Jesus, okay? If he was not going to be needed, Jesus would have never picked a physician.
Mhm.
So those things are not documented. Jesus, he had to be mindful because he wanted to clap back several times on those folks where they were acting. And definitely in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he was
Mhm.
like, hold up, I know what the deal was, but right now I need you to take this bitter cup from me. But
Yeah.
then he was, oh, wait a minute, not my will, but your will be done. So I always tell people, if Jesus could have that moment in the garden, and y'all do know when Jesus got mad, he flipped them tables over. Now he had warned them folks about being in that out of that courtyard. He went to the left. He did like your mom and dad said, okay, I'm adding them up. I'm saving them up. I know everybody on here above 50 don't had a saved up whooping that your mom and them just let you kept going.
Mhm.
And then one day they lost their mind and you was like, what is going on? Yeah. So it's okay. The worst thing you can do is to act like you're okay, but you are not. That is detrimental. And give your children permission to process their emotions and guide them in that. Your 1 or 2 year old, yeah, temper tantrum. You ain't got to go ballistic. You let them get through it because they're emotional. They
Yes.
have emotions.
Yes.
And you don't have to teach them how to be angry. It's
But
coming out.
and the kids, they're able to tell whether you really care. Being having compassion and really caring. I mean, from the heart. When we was talking about trauma training, we was always taught that we assume a person, I don't care who it is, we assume that they have some type of trauma, just to be on the safe
Yeah.
as you approach them, right? And so that's one thing at the forefront is there are many out there suffering. We're passing by them, we're working next to them day in and day out. A kind word, a little gratitude, of a thank goes a long way. Someone's on the verge of maybe leaving this earth. You just don't know. What you say to them and how you treat them could be what gives them another day of life. So it's very important. People need caring out there. There's a lot of people who are suffering out there.
So y'all, he's pretty much saying, be kind. Be kind to people. And Tanya also pointed out, which Jesus, he had to break away. And he was the son of God. He had to break away. And Miss Eleanor Burt's here, she just wrote that simply be aware of the presence, what you are doing. The presence of God is everywhere. We must embrace God's presence. And she said, Herbert, my dear brother, you are excellent. Love you, your sister. I am proud of you.
Yeah,
Great.
they always been my greatest fans and my great support. And they help raise me. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm very
yeah.
close with my sister. Yeah, these conversations we have all the time, and you're bringing out more and more as we've been talking. Family is so important. And if you don't have immediate family,
Oh,
find
yeah.
someone that you can be socially connected with in some type of way. You don't have to be lonely out there. Believe me, you don't have to be lonely. There's a lot of people out here that will have open arms for you, but you are going to have to take that first step sometimes in order for that to get ignited.
Happen. You know what I tell people all the time, Herbert? I said, listen, two things I'm not going to be: homeless and hungry. I may not have no money, but homeless and hungry. I'm staying with somebody. Look, if I got to break in and when you show up, I don't clean the whole house and cook dinner. Y'all gonna let me stay. Y'all gonna
Hey,
feed
Val,
me.
hey, Val, check this out. You mentioned something, and Tanya's on. She's on me a lot about this. She was saying, "Hey, you need to do this. You need to be out there more. You need to talk more." Those who are there are who are very talented and very skilled, even more than me by far. Don't confuse humility with hiding.
Gotcha. Remember
Reach out
that,
and
y'all.
touch.
Y'all heard
Reach
that?
out and touch somebody.
Look, reach out and touch somebody. So look, you all. Thank you so much for coming on. It has been great. See, the enemy didn't want us to have this conversation, but we was gonna talk tonight. We was gonna talk tonight with all
Yes,
the
I'm looking
technical
forward to
difficulties we had. So you all, with that being said, getting back to stepping away and just taking a pause. That's what I'm getting ready to do. I normally only take the month of December off and we're about 6 weeks and come back in mid-January. But I've got to complete an assignment that I started in the latter part of the COVID time of a class that I'm taking, a course I'm taking. And the Holy Spirit's like, girl, you better get that done. You dragging your feet. So with that being said, I will be seeing you all sometime in the spring. Now, what I probably will do, I will pop in and probably share some of my mental health guests that I had in the past just because of this time of the year. You all don't go out here buying all this stuff, being stressed out for people that really probably don't even like you, some of them. Okay, keep your money in your pocket. Tell them Merry Christmas and give them a candy cane. They'll be okay. If they get mad at you for not buying anything, thank the Lord. He revealed them to you. So I'll be back sometime in the spring. I have not set a date because I did not want to lock myself in. So I thank you for your support. And as I said, don't go out here spending all your money going in debt. Okay. And then you praying, and then you got to go see some Tanya Herbert about you depressed because you broke and it's your fault. So just don't do it. So any last words of wisdom that you want to leave the people?
Well, I would say, put God first
Mm-hmm.
uh, in your spiritual life at the top of your life. Take it one day at a time, and it does get better. And you are not alone. Just remember that you're not alone. And
You are.
uh, a song the other night we heard was talking about the amazing day.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about mindfulness and pausing. Each day is an amazing day. It is. It is an amazing day. And once we become aware and slow down things a little bit in our lives, we're going to be aware of that as we see, as we hear, as we speak, the things that God has blessed us with, and the things we have that we can offer others that are not as fortunate as us. That gratitude and giving will warm your heart and theirs too.
So y'all remember that. While you're thinking about yourself, think about others and just doing a kind word. Smile at somebody when you just passing them. You'll be amazed at what that would do with people. So I thank all of you all. Listen, you had, hey, your whole tribe don't showed up for you, Herbert. That's what family does. That's what
Yes,
family does.
and I thank them so much. Very supportive and always have been.
That's great. That's great. Well, you all have a great night. And as I said, I will see you all sometime in the spring. If something get heavy on my heart, I might pop in and say a little something. But this girl got to get this course done. So y'all take care and have a good night. Hold on a minute.